This is One I Wrote, One I Love, where every week I'll read one poem that I wrote and one poem that I love. So grab yourself a cup of tea or a glass of wine. I'm going to read one from Lobster to start off. It's called Lobster and Other Things I'm Learning to Love, and it's like my last book, Slug. It's all about the things that you're sort of told to be a bit repulsed by and embarrassed about and ashamed of, which I wish wasn't the case, but it's kind of, I'd say it's like the soppy version of Slug. This poem is called The Day I Gave Birth, and I wrote it after somebody asked me what like the best day of my life was, which is a question that I find really kind of stupid. Like the idea that one day is definitely going to be the best day of your life ever. Not stupid, just doesn't really work for me. When I was sort of a teenager, people used to tell you to really enjoy those days because those are the best days of your life. And then also when my daughter was little, people would say that like, oh, enjoy the newborn phase. This is just the best, isn't it? It's the best days of your life when you give birth and have a tiny baby. I think we romanticise the sort of baby stage so much. Anyway, someone asked me what the best day of my life was and said, oh, of course it's the day that your daughter was born, I'm sure. And my daughter was there, and I said, no, it wasn't. Maybe too quickly. And then the person was kind of shocked and said, oh, that's terrible, you can't say that in front of your daughter. And I was like, I'm not saying that my daughter isn't one of the best things in my life. I'm just saying that the day I gave birth wasn't the best. It was fucking terrifying and really painful, like incredible, amazing. But I thought I was going to die, and I was really, really scared, and also scared afterwards and sore. And I also find it a bit insulting, this kind of idea that having a sort of baby days, and there's things that are just beautiful about it, but the idea that they would be better than when your kid can like actually like talk to you or go to the park or go for dinner. So yeah, I do think that question's stupid anyway, and definitely I had a nice time at school, but they were the best days of my life. It makes it sound like everything afterwards is going to be totally crap. So this poem is about that, and it's a short poem for that long introduction. The day I gave birth was not the best day of my life. Far from it. Today, for example, I ordered 2 half orange juice, half lemonades for us, and we walked along the river path, chatting about which programmes we'd watch tonight with dinner, and what to buy your friend for her 11th birthday gift. My stitches no longer bloody, insides no longer raw, you no longer vomiting milk excess upon my shoulder, me no longer wiping sick from skin in supermarket toilets, you no longer wailing wordless in the street, me no longer petrified to close my aching eyes in case you perish in my dreams. I'm just going to do another one because I think this sort of spills on from that one. So yeah, some weeks I'll read one I wrote, one I love. Some weeks I'll read one I wrote and 3 I love. Just depends. So yeah, I'm going to do this one because it kind of goes with it. And it's on the next page, and it's called If You Think It's Hard Now. And it's another thing that drove me, I don't know, it's just very irritating. If I ever said anything bad about like, oh God, I'm really tired, like when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, I'm really tired or aching or anything like that, people are like, oh, you think you're tired now? Wait till you've got a baby. And then I remember they said like every single stage, and they're, oh, wait till she's a teenager. And it's like, geez, like how negative do you want to be? Like every stage is like amazing, and there's difficult things about it. So yeah, this is for anyone that also has people like, if you think it's hard now. So that's what it's called. My titles aren't the most incredible. This book that I'm going to read a poem from next by Amy Acre called Mothersong. Titles of this book, some of the best titles I've ever read. I mean, I love the poems as well. The titles are amazing. But yeah, if you think it's hard now. Before your lungs had sung in air, still scoobering inside me, and I itched, my life-stretched belly and vomited once more. They laughed. If you think it's hard being pregnant, Holly, wait until the baby's here. And then you were here, and it was hard. I bled, the stitches slowly healed. You smiled as blossom fell on grass, your toes a prayer. I did not sleep. Some days, no more than leaky tap, the constant drip of milk and tears, your giggles mending each tired night, you screamed again. I did not sleep. And they laughed. If you think it's hard having a baby, Holly, wait till she can walk and speak. And then you spoke and walked, and it was hard. I held your hand, you held mine back. Your fingers gripped my own like life, summer rain turned winter frost. You screamed as a first snowflake fell and melted on your hoping palm. And you giggled and you wailed, and a ladybird strolled past your feet, and you screamed in shops and slumped on streets, and your fingertips popped bubbles, and that was enough for you. The world a mad magician through which I saw each hour anew. And remembered how to talk to toys, make people out of forks and spoons, how to stop at every single daisy, how to sob when you said mum. And they laughed. If you think a toddler's trouble, Holly, wait till she can run and jump. And you ran, and we ran arm in arm, and you jumped, and we jumped crashing seas, and you skipped, and we skipped to the moon, and you sprinted, sometimes far from me. And they laughed. If you think this is tricky, Holly, wait till she's a teen. And now you are a teen, and your eyes do roll, and hugs don't come so frequently, and your toys get bored, and you go out more, and you like your friends much more than me. And you close the door to sleep at night, and you sigh as I blow kisses through, and we sleep in late at weekends now, but snow still falls as beautifully. And I can borrow all your jumpers, and your chat is much more interesting, and your laugh still mends each tired night like the most enthralling magic trick. And yes, sometimes it's difficult, but sometimes it always is. And they laughed. If you think it's hard now, Holly. But I'd finally stop listening. So that is... I can't remember the titles of my own poem. The Day I Gave Birth, and If You Think It's Hard Now from Lobster. And I am going to read a poem that I love now. This is a fairly new collection from Amy Acre, who I've met a few times, and she is lovely. I only read poems from poets that are lovely. I'm bored of finding out about artists that I loved who were fucking horrendous people. So this is called Mothersong, and it is, I think, an exceptional collection of poems. I sometimes find poetry books quite difficult to get into, and I read this poem a few times over, but I'd never really read a poem about the actual birth. Like, I talk about lots of things to do with motherhood, but not like the birth, giving birth, and I thought this was a very beautiful poem about that, and it's called T-Minus 0. The titles in this: Fishbowl Soup, that's a good one. There's one, Finding Out You're Dead by Walking Past Your Grave, that was a very nice title. Dead Disney Mothers. Margaret Garner Will Have Her Revenge on Kentucky. Like, they're just very exceptionally titled poems. So this is T-Minus 0 by Amy Acre. It won't matter if the water is hot or cold. It won't matter about the plastic tub for the placenta, or which pyjamas when you lie on a floor next to the lift. Trolleys splash rocky down corridors, each contraction a red sun setting over and in you. Rise out of water, his eyes catching you, falling into the room when she swells into the water, a tree splitting to give way to lightning. Nice. Her head like God cracking, a rock, a planet, a red sun, rising blood won't matter. Frogs slither neck and shoulders, and he in the sun all kneeling, your hands full of someone, slick minute, God. When she comes, you won't remember if she cried, because look at the day arriving. Someone is here. What a beauty. What a beauty. That was one I wrote. In fact, it was two I wrote, but the two I wrote were from Lobster. That's the proof, so it doesn't actually have the title on the front. But my dad has a quote on it. And the other one was Amy Acre, Mothersong. So I hope you enjoyed them, and I'll be back next week to read another poem that I wrote and a poem that I love. So have a lovely week. Bye.